What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Make It Kustom. I'm Carl Fisher, and we are back on the COE ramp truck project. We've got a ton of work ahead of us. We are supposed to be driving this thing in a couple of months on a massive road trip with Brent from Halfass Kustoms. Definitely check out his channel. He's helped me a ton on this truck, and he's coming back to give me a hand as well. Fast Cut CNC, KBC Tools, love you guys. If you need anything from them, make sure to use Make It Kustom, all one word, all capital letters, if you're on the site for KBC Tools, and let Fast Cut know that you saw it here. Great companies, happy to be working with them. And today we are gonna be working on the sway bar. This is a massive, large sway bar that came from this chassis that we're gonna have to remount in our front suspension using a bunch of fabrication. Today, that's gonna be the video. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody. If you haven't already, it really helped me out if you subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Those are all free things that just help me create better content and just keep doing what we're doing. So cheers, everybody. Enjoy the video. Let's get into it. First things first, gotta air it up. Gotta find the draw. There's some kind of like parasitic draw on the battery. Oh, I had the key on. I guess that might have been a problem. Just started working. Maybe the battery was so dead flat that the charger couldn't tell that it was hooked up to something. I don't know. All right, we are at full max ride height. That is, I think these shocks are fully extended too. Like that's it, that's all there is. We have a lot of travel that we have to think about when we're mounting the sway bar. I mean, normally, you know, regular suspension, your sway bar might only actually move like on a regular basis, like, you know, 6 inches, but this has like 12 inches of travel. So we've just got to be smart with where we put it. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna measure our travel here just to make sure I know exactly where it is. Here's a tip for everybody. When you're talking about suspension, like air suspension, adjustable suspension, people say like, well, you gotta set it up for ride height. No, common misconception. You need to set it up for half travel. Like you want things to be neutral at half travel, not ride height. And the reason being is that ride height is not half travel. Say what if your ride height's 2 inches? You know, then you're setting it up for that, but then when you go to 12 inches, it's all completely out of whack. So you need to share that between its travel. So if you have air suspension, hydraulic suspension, any kind of adjustable suspension, it's important to set things up at half travel. So that's what we're gonna do. Because imagine your panhard bar. A panhard bar is like a bar that goes you know, side to side on a rear end or a front end that locates your axle, you know, left and right. So your 4-link bars are like front to back and torsionally, but your panhard bar is like a left to right thing. You don't need one on a triangulated 4-link, but same deal as like a Watts link. So if you were to set that up at ride height and your ride height was a few inches, you know, and it could go to 12, it's gonna be totally out of whack when it goes up that high. Or if you go hit a big hill and all your suspension droops, then your axle's gonna swing out from underneath you, and when you come back down, it'll give you this shimmy. Like you don't half travel. Right now, I have, okay, it's not quite 12, it's 10 inches. I have 10 inches of travel, so I'm going to lower the front end until we're at 5 inches, and then I will have a look at where the panhard bar can be, or sorry, not panhard bar, where the sway bar can be neutral and level at 5 inches, and then just make sure that we have enough clearance up and down for that sway bar to move up and down. You got about 14 inches of travel on the back, which is wild. So yeah, that'll be interesting mountain shocks. Okay, we're at 5 3/4. Get another 3/4. You can see what we're working with down here. We've got our dual shocks attached to the couple of our bolts that hold on our 4-link mounts to our solid axle. If you look closely, I'll try and point to it. Those are torch cuts of the old sway bar mounts. Okay, so the sway bar used to sit along the axle. They used to have a couple bolts coming off of these leaf spring perches. And basically what was happening, the sway bar used to bolt to a couple of these. The clamp used to be about here, kind of inboard from where those shock mounts are. And the sway bar links would be off the end of the sway bar this way. So I think I'm gonna mount it similar, but these mounts up here are gonna move up a little bit because of how much lower this truck is sitting. Those two bolts are gonna be our new mounting location for the sway bar clamps. You know, they're like a horseshoe style clamp. That's, I think, what I'm gonna have to design first. I'll bring the sway bar in and we'll kind of sit it in the location where I think it's gotta be. But first thing we'll do after that is make some brackets on the CNC machine to bolt to the axle and hold on to the sway bar. And then we'll figure out our link location. I think I'll make a plate that comes, right off the bottom of this bracket, and then our horseshoes on top of that, so it'll end up being kind of up here. These are the mounts. They should be kind of sitting kind of wide on this bar. You don't want them like too narrow. So we'll stick them kind of back in the factory spot, basically. This is the mount tab that holds on to our bushing. Looks like that. So I basically just need to make a bracket that will have our leaf spring holes, or our 4-link bracket holes, and these holes to mount the sway bar there. Once that's good, we'll leave it kind of level, and we'll make new upper mounts that will weld to the frame. All right, here we go. It's been a minute since I've done this. Usually, Elliot just has more time on the machine than I do, so he kind of knows his way around it better than me. Wish me luck. You saw me try to bend these. I did actually bend them a bit, and it is going to help its strength. Basically, I was trying to get a bit of a tab on it, but my 45-ton press didn't want to 90 degree a half-inch piece of steel, which I didn't fully expect it to, but if you ever see leaf spring plates, like on the bottom of a leaf spring, they've got just like a little bit of a tip on an edge. It just basically gives you a little bit more linear strength. So even though these didn't bend much, they bent a little bit so that it just makes it a little bit stronger. I remember the original pieces that mounted that bar, they were just half-inch flat bar. So like this is already stronger, but I don't know, I'm always thinking about making it like uber strong, you know? Overkill. Right now I just got just this reamer bit. These are really great for reaming out holes plasma cutting. These holes are smaller than the thickness of the metal, so like you can't really expect it to make a straight hole, because usually like if it's a half-inch piece of plate, half-inch hole is about what you're gonna get for a nice one. but we did 3/8 holes in this, and it actually did them like really, really nice, but they're just a little bit undersized. So I'm just gonna ream it out here. Lots of fluid. I just got this new drill press, KBC Tools. It's actually pretty sweet because my old drill press, you would have to always like flip the top open. One second. You'd always have to flip the top open and then change the belts for speeds and stuff like that, where this one already has like presets of all kinds of different materials and speeds. So I'm gonna go with like really slow for thick material. And you can just dial it in. It's got a digital variable reluctance motor. I'm not sure if that's like different than like a VFD with a 3-phase. I think it is different. I was looking it up a little bit. But anyway, it just allows it to be like ultra quiet. Like the thing's on right now, you can't even hear it. And it's constant torque all the time. So this is actually my first time using it. So we'll see how she does. That's awesome. RPM isn't changing at all, no matter how hard I push on it. Sweet. The reason I like these for this, like if you used a regular drill bit, you're only gonna be cutting with just the very edges of the grind on a regular drill bit. And if you're doing that, you're definitely gonna probably hurt the drill bit. Whereas these edges are continuous and fluted and spiraling, so you're not gonna just chip the edge off. You know, it's much harder to do that. So that's why I use the tapered drill bit. And after you plasma cut, there's like mill scale and it's kind of rough. So if you're using like a regular twist drill bit, it's just really tough on them because they're ground so sharp. Let me get a 3/8 bolt, make sure that we're getting the full size. Nice. Okay. Okay, here's a new weird tool as well I got introduced to. You guys maybe have seen it before on here, but this thing just like takes all the edges off. It deburrs it. It's like a little router. See that? Takes all the edges off. It's like for thick plate and stuff, like this is magic. They're actually not very expensive either. They're very small. They just run on air. KBCtools.com. Use promo code Make It Kustom, all capital letters, all one word. I got the hole size wrong. I was supposed to make those 5/8 holes because we got 9/16 bolts. So I am gonna go back to the drill press with a 5/8 bolt, 5/8 drill, and enlarge these. But anyway, pretty sweet what that little chamfer tool does, isn't it? Kind of cool. Some of you guys might have been yelling at the screen, oh, you used it last on the mill when you were making the front shock mounts. Yeah, that's where it was. Didn't put my drill bit back. Plates are done. Grab some more hardware. I should have got more bolts because the shock mounts needed longer bolts too. I don't know why I didn't think of that. But now, basically ready to give this a go, bolting it on. So I'm just gonna undo these 4 inboard bolts. These plates are gonna go just like that. Basically, they just widen the bolt pattern slightly to make sure that the mounts for the sway bar are as far out as they can be on the bar. I'm probably gonna jack this thing up with the air all the way and then let the airbags, I just want the airbags to not be pressing on that when I undo it. It would have been cool if we did this before putting it under here.
Well, you know.
Fully snapped one of these, and to be honest, I don't really want to run this style anyway. We're gonna go to the Heimies. That'll give us a little bit more travel because they are going to be going up and down a lot, and we might be screwing up our rubbers if we're doing that all the time. Rick and I have been looking at this stuff, and basically we are going to go to 3/4 inch heims. I'm going to machine a little spacer to drop it down to 5/8 there for the 5/8 hole that's in that. It is tapered, and we may machine a little spacer to take up the taper, or we may just pretend that that's a straight through bolt hole. We don't know how we're going to do that yet. I do have to clean this frame off. I got to get this gobbledygook off of there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we're going to have to make a bracket off of the side of the frame that maybe it's off the bottom straight up and in, or maybe it's out across and in, and that will have a 3/4 inch hole and maybe a piece of tube welded in it so that we can mount our upper heim. That'll give us a little bit more travel as well, because this arm has about maybe 12 inches of reach, but when it tips up and down throughout our suspension travel, that upper link that would have been a rubber is going to end up going like this a lot in its mount. And since I'm going to be playing with this air ride all the time, showing off and dragging sparks, loading cars and being dumb, we want that to last. So we're going to use a heim joint. Okay, so we got the sides ground down, and just been looking at this a little bit more. I'd like the heim to be on the inside of this, just so it's closer to the frame. If the engine ever had to come out, we want it to drop straight down. That's how all the mounts are built. This is 5/8, so I'm gonna machine a tapered little sleeve so that my 3/4 inch heim goes over, and then it'll actually kind of center itself in the taper inside this, and we basically adapt to a 5/8 bolt. So it'll be a 5/8 bolt going through here. We'll make our bracket a little bit shallower because we'll get the heim on the outside of this sway bar, closer to the frame, and then we'll do a 3/4 inch bolt hole in our bracket that will probably go plate out, back, and in with a 3/4 inch hole in it. And we'll spread the load quite tall on the frame so that we got lots of weld. Got some tube here. This is the stuff right here. 120 wall DOM, 1.25 inch. These slip in nice. We'll cut these down, drill some holes to rosette weld, plug weld, and TIG weld around the outside of these for our 3/4 inch heims. Just got to figure out how long our links are going to be. We're going to have them on a slight angle. This gives us a little bit more travel, right? If we keep them like this, when it goes up and down, it kind of doesn't give us as much travel. So just a slight angle is all I'm going to do. The longer they are, the more travel we're going to get, right? So if we did just little short ones versus long ones, we would have a lot more movement in our links. We could go as much as 10 or 11 inches maybe, eye to eye on our links. You could basically almost do a flat plate that just comes back like this and dives in and just has a mount on it. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna come out 3/4 of an inch, across by 2 inches, and then back in 2 inches, and I'll go about 4 inches tall with a 3/4 inch hole near the top. And that should allow me to bolt the heim joint right up here somewhere. All right. Okay, this is my first time actually using this saw, and pretty excited about it. It's got kind of presets for speeds and everything. It already lets you kind of choose non-ferrous or carbon steel, stainless steel, tool steel. So I'm gonna go to carbon steel and on. So quiet. Let's let her go. Wow. That thing is so quiet. I gotta put the fluid in it. It's got fluid pump and everything also, but that was nice. Let's do another one. If you guys are interested, this is a Nova Eclipse saw. It's kind of a new technology thing. Basically, it's got this new motor that's called a digital variable reluctance. I don't think it's the same as a VFD on an AC motor. This is a different type of motor all on its own, and it's got a constant torque. I know that that sounds like the same thing as a VFD. It's not. It knows its speed and it ramps itself up to maintain speed. So no matter what, it's gonna have the same speed the entire time. Pretty cool. KBC Tools, Make It Kustom, promo code if you want one. This thing has really cool stuff, okay? Check this out. User set depth, self-start. Self-start is really cool because if you use that, watch, I'm gonna turn it on. We'll turn self-start on. If I press on, that chuck just like barely moved. And so if you were doing like a bunch of like repeating stuff like we do here, we manufacture some things, as soon as you start using the drill press, it turns itself on. And when you put it back, it shuts itself off, so you don't have to press on and off. Right? I have it set to like 3,000 RPM right now, but pretty cool. It does other stuff too, like it has a slow start feature so that if you're doing like pilot holes or something like that, it'll slowly start up. Check it out, it's the same deal as that other machine. Sorry, I'm talking about them a lot. I'm like geeking out right now because they are both that constant torque and super quiet. Okay, we are drilled. I'm just gonna clean these up, use a bit of a deburring tool, and we'll get these, like the oil off of this, and then we'll TIG weld up our links. And then I'll pull out the computer and we will make some brackets for the links to mount to the frame. And then our sway bar will be done and we'll cycle it up and down and we'll see how we did. These are somewhat of a guess, but there is the bracket. I put 3 holes in it because I could, and it was easy, didn't really need it. Big time no-no is assembling heim joints without some kind of never sees. Make sure you put something on there. I don't know how many of these things, like years down the road, if you have to take these apart, like they will be locked in there if you don't do this. So looks like I'm running low on this stuff. Also, if you guys are plug welding like I was here, this is something that you have to be careful of, because I've done it before. I'm sure everybody has done it before, where you, Elio, have you ever done this before? You're plug welding the thread and you go too hot and you mess up the thread and you cannot thread it in anymore.
That's a cut it off and buy another one.
Yeah, Elio just said, cut it off and buy another one. So yeah, be careful with that. This is how this will be set up. These give us a little bit of extra room. This will go through here like this, and then the other side will do the same thing with the little misalignment washers and go to our sway bar. I was thinking about having it kind of up in this general vicinity. Like, you want it to be pretty straight. Obviously, like, if this thing was like cranked up and it's like that, it's no good, right? We're at half travel right now. I don't see it hitting this, although it is kind of close. Okay, I'm just gonna prep it a little bit. So I did get the sway bar all put in, all tightened up, and I lowered the suspension, but I'm gonna show you guys it's cycling. Right now, it's as low as it's gonna go. So let's try bringing it up. Oh, you know what? We might not have enough air to go all the way up. So links have tons of travel. Sway bar is about the same position as it is all the way down. Super happy with the way that worked out. If I try and give it a bit of a twist, it barely allows it to do anything, really, side to side. You know, I'm pushing on the top of the cab and I'm getting maybe half an inch to an inch of side to side. I think we're giving ourselves the best chance at a safe and effective ride.
Way better, way better. Before it would like flop back and forth. It was very unstable. It was like...
A little bit scary. You like it too, Roscoe? Think so? It's looking good? Hey? Hey, nice clean jacket today. That's all we've got for this video. You can turn this light off, it's not necessary. Oh, now it's strobing, stop that. Nah. Sway bar is done in the front. Very stoked with the way that all turned out. Quick note, we are putting a bunch of new stuff on the site. So now we've got Baby Buick t-shirts out. Check those out. There's not a ton of them, so if you want one, better jump on there. The other thing we're gonna do is little things like this. We've had a lot of comments on people, you know, seeing how we organize things around here. So we're making wrench racks in case you have a pegboard, or you don't have to have a pegboard, but it's one of those things that if you can just walk up and grab a wrench, it's so much easier than digging, which I used to do a lot of. The other thing is that my tool cart has all these air tool holders and then vice grip holders. So Elio has been working on just refining the design, and we're gonna have those on the site as well. So by the time this video's up, guaranteed those things are on there. You're welcome to go check them out. Other thing is DXF files for the bead roller, the bomber seats, and the profiling machine. Those are all available on japhandskustoms.com as well. Thank you everybody for all the support, the comments, the likes, the love, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.